I know this sounds crazy, but I feel good when I'm voting for someone who's as mad as I am. I don't expect my candidates to 100% deliver on what they're saying. What it tells me is their goals, right? Your vision, your guts.
How should I introduce you?
I mean, whatever way you want to, but I think just as a former municipal chair and like I've been knocking on doors since I was 16 for Democrats. I have been at it for a very, very long time. I'm an elder millennial, like right on the border, you know?
Yeah, you are. And I actually like, sometimes it actually bothers me that people think I'm younger than I am.
Yeah.
It actually does, because like they're like, oh, well, a young person is here. I'm like, I'm 46.
That happens to me a lot with Democratic stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Alexa, no one was talking to you. Especially that's because I didn't ask for help. Because I am very progressive. I am, but I am a pragmatic progressive. You will never catch me voting third party or promoting voting third party. Like, it's just not something I will be doing. I will be voting for harm reduction every day of the week, period. But, you know, I am progressive. And so unless it's like a voting conversation, I'm pushing for whatever I'm pushing for. I want to talk about healthcare for all. I want to talk about like better everything for everyone, less school debt. Like, that's what I want to talk about. And there used to be a lot of like, well, you're young, you don't know why it's so hard to like get it done. And I'm like, I'm not that young.
Yeah, no, I get that all the time. I mean, but you know, I don't know if this is true for you as it is for me. It really feels like I am too moderate for the progressives and too progressive for the moderates.
Yeah.
And so,
have no home.
Yeah, the way I actually describe myself, because I've thought about this a lot, is to say I'm a Liz Warren Democrat.
Yeah,
and
that is very accurate. I literally voted for her at our convention.
Me too. And in fact, Hunterdon County Democratic Committee endorsed Liz Warren. So
I'm so jealous.
I know. Well, you know, I have to say I'm a recruiter. I've been a corporate recruiter for the past 10 years. I don't do it anymore, but I was leaning hard into my recruitment skills at that convention. And I think it just really exemplifies, like, I'm a Democrat, I'm a progressive, I'm pragmatic, and it starts with good plans and policies.
Yes.
And standing up for consumer protections, et cetera. And I think I'm so glad Liz Warren exists, because I can just say, oh, I'm a Liz Warren Democrat. And people are like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, you like Mamdani and AOC and all of that.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm never going to be third party. Same. Yeah. Same.
I just don't, I mean, you know, this is a rabbit hole that we would probably be in for days, so we will not let ourselves get too sucked into what I'm about to say. But I cannot sometimes believe that on January 15th of 2025, I still see people occasionally being like, well, Kamala would have been the same. And I'm like, my husband freaked out today because before this, I went to go get my eyebrows done and I left my wallet at home. And my husband had a heart attack and he was pissed because I didn't have, I was being really stubborn and not taking my passport card. So he kept sneaking my passport card into my wallet. And then I would take it out and then he would put it back. And
oh, wow.
And today and recently I have been less resistant. I'm like, maybe this is a good idea. Because in the beginning I was like, whatever, they're going to take me, like, waste your time, take me. I'll tell you to make out, like, you'll be so sick of me, you won't even want to take me with you. But now what we're seeing is that they have been given carte blanche permission to be violent on the front end and sort it out on the tail end. And that is very different than what we expected. Even the worst case was like, it's going to bother everybody, but I don't think anyone thought they would like punch first, shoot first, throw you in a van first, and then figure out if you're a citizen. And none of it's okay, whether you are or aren't a citizen. But like the fact that people can see what's happening and still think they're the same. She would have done this. Obama was deporter in chief. Obama was deporter in chief, but he was deporting criminals. And the reason that he can't catch up is that he's catching constantly like people who haven't committed any crimes, and then the judges aren't letting him send them off. Like they're not the same. And I
Oh
can't
my God.
tolerate the conversation.
No, I know. First of all, your eyebrows look amazing.
Thank
so nice. But I actually don't want to travel with documentation because what's to stop them from just taking it away?
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
And then I really have nothing.
So I keep my passport card in my wallet. I agreed to that because my actual passport is with my husband. My kids keep, and I started this January 21st for the record of last year. My kids keep a copy of their birth certificates, not their actual birth certificates, but a copy of their birth certificates in their backpacks. And their counselors know where it is, just in case. My kids are half Hispanic, half Indian. And so their last name has a tilde in it. And, you know, in the beginning, I was called hysterical. People were like, oh, you're worrying for no reason. And then those same people saw ICE waiting outside schools. And they were like, oh, so what are you doing? Tell us. We're going to have to do it too. Because if you have kids that are not white, like you need to think about what they have when they're not with you.
This is crazy. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm sorry that's happening to you, but it's happening to all of us.
It's happening to us, yeah.
You know, I'm like my parents who are elder Korean immigrants with accents who are both naturalized citizens and have been for decades. I'm like, what's to stop them from just pulling my little mom out of her car or whatever? And she's like, I'm just going to the store, you know, like or me, obviously, you know, and Renee Good's wife, you know, who is white, but otherwise we look very similar. You know, the butch lesbian telling the cop to basically fuck off while Renee's like, it's okay, bro. I'm not mad at you. That would be my wife. Like, no, everything's fine. And me being like, fuck off, bro. And then to see my own wife getting shot 3 times in the face because of something I said or did, I would be gutted and shattered. I don't know how she's doing. I know they have a young child that she has to stay alive for, but show up for. But my God, I was like, I mean, you know, we talked about whether going to this protest together was a good idea or not, because then my son is home alone. I mean, you know, so right now we've established that we are staunch Democrats, but you could probably agree with me that the Democratic Party and leadership seems to be failing us.
Exhausting. I mean, I agree. Yes, they are. And I think it's because I don't want to be one of those people who's like, why aren't you doing more? Because I don't think they can do more. Because I understand what power is and that they don't have any. But not being able to do more does not mean you cannot take more firm stances and say more and use the bully pulpit and know that so many people are mad at what's happening right now. You know, legislation from someone today being like, they need more training. That's not enough. That's not what we need. No one's passing your legislation, no matter how mild it is, right?
Right.
No matter how much you soften it, you're not getting votes. So why not do what even moderate people are saying right now? Moderate people, I feel like pragmatic progressive, very reasonable person. When people were saying defund the police, I immediately was like, I agree, but we better rebrand that shit. Like, and Zoran did it and see how well it went. I think even moderate people right now are like, you can't fix something this bad. You have to get rid of, like, proposing getting rid of ICE is the only way to show that you're actually on our side. Like, we're being terrorized.
And that guy who shot Renee Good in the face was a trainer and had been on ice for 10 years.
And that's their
So,
training. Like,
right. So what amount of training, that is such bullshit. It's like,
yeah,
what amount of training is going to, I mean, he wasn't a newbie. You can't hide behind that. He wasn't
right.
hired in the last 72 hours. He's a
Yes.
member of the community. He had been doing this job for 10 years and he is a trainer. So it's like Derek Chauvin, same thing. He was one
Yeah.
of the police trainers. Like,
Yeah.
it's not about training. It
And
really
I
isn't.
I don't think it's radical because I am not saying that we don't need something to enforce immigration when there are criminals, when there are bad people. We need an arm somewhere that is for this purpose. However, I don't think something this rotted can be fixed. Like,
Yeah.
the trust is gone. Who's going to trust them ever again? Never. Like, and I'm not saying rebrand it to something cuter. I'm saying this has got to go. And when you create something new, it has to be so restricted and so regulated, and it has to be something different. This is not okay. And when Democrats give me this watered down version of like, we can fix it with training, I'm like, you really don't get it.
No. So I went to a candidate, the Hunterdon County Democratic Committee, that's where I live.
Yeah.
They're hosting one candidate at a time to speak. And there was a candidate yesterday, her name is Sarah Suey, running in District 7 of New Jersey, who said we need to rebuild ICE from the ground up because they're domestic terrorists, right? And that is actually the strongest language I've heard from any of the 7 candidates.
Yeah.
And so I brought you on here today to talk about CD12 because I know nothing about it. I keep getting asked about CD12. So I'm going to rely on you a little bit for just context about why there is even a primary and why we're, in this space now, and your totally biased opinion.
Totally biased.
Because I believe in totally biased opinions and podcasts. I think that, my friend Grace, she goes by Dressed for Democracy.
Yes.
Yeah. She has said, you have to, as creators and influencers, say what you like and not just what you don't like. And I have taken that to heart. I think that is, so I liked Sarah's answer yesterday, the most of the candidates so far. So I'm coming out and saying that.
Yeah.
And I want to be biased because Grace is right. Now is not the time to use our influence to give watered down opinions. So Charmi, take over, educate me, educate the audience. What's going on in Congressional District 12 of New Jersey?
So CD12 currently has an amazing congressional rep. We have Bonnie Watson Coleman, who is one of the most progressive representatives in Congress. She's phenomenal. But she is retiring and moving on because she deserves to have some time back in her life, I imagine.
Sure.
And so now CD12, there was a recent redraw, and so it's a little bit different than the first many times she was elected. And it's 4 different counties. It's only a little bit of Somerset, but there's a lot happening in CD12. But running for CD12 is, I think, let me get a total count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people right now.
Stop.
As of yesterday, we have 13 people running. I'm sorry, Somerset, we have a decent amount of. It's Union that there's only one town in Union that is a part of CD12, and it's Plainfield, and Plainfield has 3 candidates running. So I think that's probably an unrealistic waste of time. Like, you being a part of the community is part of how you get votes. And presumably those Plainfield people have been spending most of their time in Union, especially because this redraw is fairly recent. So I don't think they've made inroads with voters in these 3 other counties, Mercer, especially Middlesex and Somerset, like that. It's big chunks of those 3 counties. And so I'm not too focused on those three candidates. We do have, Mercer has a ton of really great people who I love. I'm a little bit biased, even for the people I'm not supporting actively. Verlina Reynolds Jackson is our assemblywoman. She's a delightful human being, a good person. Policy wise, I think I look forward to, it's very easy for me to speak on her state related policy because that's all she's ever had to talk about. And so we still have time to listen to what else she believes, you know, like she's never had to talk about healthcare. She's never had to talk about foreign relations. It's a big deal.
Right.
And Tennille McCoy is also here and not an assembly person, is she? Yes, an assembly person. Also good people, also hasn't had to talk about, you know, any international and national issues. Assembly people are really focused on New Jersey, right? Like they're not talking about all this other stuff. And so some of this is also that they're forming policy in real time. So if these are people that, you know, anyone who's listening support, you should be telling them what you want to hear from them because they're still forming who they are as congressional candidates in real time. Sujit Singh is a perennial candidate, so I don't take candidates seriously. And he once told me he was funded by billionaires, so you know how we feel about that. Yeah.
What a crazy thing to admit.
Right.
Was that supposed to be a flex? That's so weird.
Right. I mean, as a pragmatic person, I know that raising money is important, but I would rather you be raising money out here from people, not from one guy somewhere.
Well, that's also suspicious, right? Because what is the billionaire? First
What's
of
his
all,
goal?
Yeah, what's his goal? And also, could you fund some creators too? Wait, who is this guy? Actually, can I get this over?
Ask somebody. Okay, and then I'm gonna skip over some of the other ones, and then I'm gonna go to my favorite.
Okay, great.
Okay, my favorite candidate that's running, his name is Jay Vaingankar. I met him 6 years ago when Biden was running. He was running one of the offices in Pennsylvania for GOTV. And it was during COVID. So like five and a half years ago. It was during COVID, and I was looking to figure out how I could make an impact from home. And what I was able to do is get a lot of I'm a photographer for a living. And I have a following of photographers who are somewhat like-minded, but also, you know, would take the opportunity to pick my brain or ask me questions about work. And so I leveraged that to get people to phone bank with me on Zoom. So I would say, come phone bank with me. We're going to phone bank for a half hour, and then we're going to take a break, and you can ask me whatever questions you want during that break. And then we're going to phone bank again another half hour. And I got tons and tons and tons of people to phone bank with me that way. And I was able to bring a ton of people to Pennsylvania, and it was through Jay that was all made possible, because I don't know if you've ever tried to accomplish anything with the DNC, but it can be a little slow moving.
Yeah. Even our county committees, it's tough. Yeah.
So what was great about him is he was not playing. He was obviously part of the DNC. He's like working for the Biden campaign. But when I told him, hey, I want to take photographers and I want to phone bank with them, he was like, that sounds like I'm sorry, I'm shutting my curtains because I'm being blinded by the sun. Woo. Okay. He was so fast to get me hooked into the system, get me trained so that I could train other people for phone banking, put me on the Slack, gave me access so that I could let other people have access to the link to, you know, get logged into the system to make the calls. He just I feel like there can be a lot of red tape, a lot of like, well, we already have people for that, just send money, or, you know, it can be frustrating to get things done. And he was so helpful in just like making it happen. Anyway, that was very helpful to him too, because those all showed for his numbers of getting people out to doors and getting people out to phone bank. And he went to the White House and worked in operations. He did a lot of like COVID management, making sure the president did not get COVID. And then he worked in energy policy for the latter 2 years, I think. And every weekend, every other weekend, he used to still come back here to participate in local politics, to support local candidates. He's always been like really dedicated to this place. So on that alone, I support him. But he also just aligns with my pragmatic, progressive policy stances. Healthcare for everybody. That may not be in the form of Medicare for all. I personally am not attached to the name Medicare for all. I think that just like defund the police, really like people, you know, things get names, death panel, defund the police. None of them are real. None of them are what people think they are, but they get attached to them. And so I think my perspective is that as long as he is pushing for single payer, I'm good. Call it what you want. You don't call anything call it what you want. I want single payer. And so as long as that's the goal, then I'm on board. He showed up at protests. He was one of the only candidates. I think he was the only candidate who showed up at protests this weekend for ICE, against ICE. And yeah, he's just a good person. Like, and I think good people know how to make good decisions when circumstances change. And what's going to happen, what I hope is going to happen, I don't want people to come in and be like, I'm going to fix what he broke. I don't think it was, I don't know if you agree. I don't think it was that great before he broke it. Like healthcare sucked before Trump ruined the subsidies.
Right.
It's not like it was like we were all just like so happy with our healthcare, and then he took away the subsidies and now it's ruined. Like that's not what happened. It was so easy for him to break it because it was already broken. Like who's getting all those subsidy money? Insurance companies. It's not us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's young, he's late 20s, he's young, and I want somebody who's going to go in there and say, let's build new things. Let's make new things. Let's change the dynamic. We don't need to keep everything the same. And I feel like people get jaded when they're in politics a long time. Something I hear really often in Mercer is, well, if they haven't been in government long enough, how will they know how it works? And I think the other side of the blade there is that they know how it works, but they're like disillusioned by what is possible. And so they don't aim high. And I want someone who's aiming high.
Wow, what a great endorsement. And, you know, right now, I think Democrats absolutely lack imagination. It's and prevent themselves from even trying, like talk themselves out of possibility and prevent their own. Yeah, it's a lack of imagination. And so what I'm hearing, remind me of this candidate's name one more time.
Jay Vaingankar.
Okay, Jay. What I'm hearing is Jay really started in community organizing, and that seems to be where you are as well. So I do think that that's something that we have to remember for general election time. Yeah, primaries happen, and then there's a general. Well, who's doing your phone banking, calling, door knocking? Who's organizing your grassroots operation?
Yeah.
And they're right now in CD7, which is what I'm most familiar with. There really is this push for the top down, right? To have the executive leaders of the Democratic Party force a candidate on us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can do that. But then if she wins the primary, who's going to door knock for her? Who's going to do all of that? You know what I mean?
Agree.
activated, who feels impassioned, to go out and do that if you're not building it from the grassroots, if you don't
Yeah.
have that building up. And, you know, so that's what I'm hearing about Jay, is that,
I do want to mention,
yeah.
because I should have included it, but his working in energy policy and then him having to hear me. I'm going to scare you with a number. I paid for my PSE&G bill this month. I don't know, hug yourself. You might fall out of your chair. $1,100.
Oh my God. This
Yeah,
month?
this month. It used to be so much less. We did add a second story, but we live in a 2,600 square foot house. Okay. It's not a mansion. Maybe it's 3,000 now, but like, it's not, it shouldn't be 1,100. And we just got solar panels. We're trying to do what we can to make it better. But I'm not the first person who's had an absolutely insane energy bill compared to what they used to have. And that's something he's really obsessed with because he worked in energy when he was in the Biden administration. And then when he finished working at the Biden administration, he went to work for community solar. And so he's very into, and I think it aligns really nicely with a lot of what Mikey says, which is Texas doesn't do a lot of green energy because they fucking care. They don't care. They do it because it is economically brilliant for the state and the people. And so I do think we need people in Congress who want there to be more energy policy. We don't have to call it the Green New Deal, even though I want to and I like it. But we call it what you want. But we need people who are going to say this green energy is actually really fucking economical for the homeowner, the country, and everybody. The environmental stuff is a bonus. Like, I care about the environment, but you're not going to win most votes on the environment. You're going to win the most votes on a lower bill.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think that that definitely sets Jay apart because you're right. When it comes to what federal policy can do for the state of New Jersey and also, everything else that comes with it. And right now, as a blue state who is getting less, already we were getting less back than what we were getting. And now they're even cutting services more in retaliation. So, I guess the question is like, have you seen any other candidate? Like, what is your temperature on the ground? What are you hearing from voters? What are you hearing about this race? Is there somebody who's like the Democratic establishment candidate versus outside? Like, tell me all the other stuff.
I would say each county kind of has their favorite establishment candidate. I think in Middlesex, it's easily Brad Cohen. I don't think Brad's my favorite or even towards the top of the list. Anyway, no details, but Brad's their favorite, but not mine. In Mercer, I think Verlina is a favored establishment candidate, but you would be surprised at the reasons why establishment sometimes wants what they want. It's I will say something that is fascinating overall is that I don't think it matters if there's an establishment candidate. I think that a lot of the establishment candidates are playing this primary like the line still exists. And like I've heard a lot about like what does the path to victory look like, and conversations about like, oh, Mercer and Monmouth or Mercer and Middlesex get together, and I'm like, the voters of Mercer and Middlesex are not yapping together. So what you mean by that is leadership will get together, but who cares? It's an open primary now. This is not 6 years ago, 4 years ago. This is not that. There is no line. So what matters now is who's going to get real votes, who can fundraise, who can have a ground operation, and who can earn votes. Doesn't really matter what the establishment wants. I mean, they can try to put their thumb on the but it's not, I just don't think, maybe I'm crazy. I'm a committee person. I get to vote. We're having a convention at the end of February, and I'll go vote and I will advocate for my candidate and hope to get him up there. But I don't see losing. This may not be Jay's stance, so don't quote me like it's him. But I don't see where he lands there as some final marker of how successful he would be on the ground.
Right. And there's also a growing sentiment from voters that they don't really care for the establishment anyway. So if you win that nomination or endorsement, I should say, sometimes people could look at that and be like, oh, now she's the establishment candidate, literally,
Right.
you know, being
Right.
endorsed by the Democratic establishment could be even used as a like, see, like,
Yeah.
I'm not that, you know.
I think the most important thing is, does your platform speak to voters? And are you out there speaking to voters? And I will say he's everywhere. So I'm really glad about that. Like if there's a protest, he's there. If there's a meeting, he's there. He is everywhere. And I'm happy to see that. I don't think all the candidates are hitting the pavement as hard because a lot of them are hitting fundraisers harder. He is fundraising. At the end of January, we'll see where everyone is at with their fundraising. That's obviously, I think, going to affect a lot of things. Because if one candidate's raised 150 and this candidate's raised $5, I'm going to go ahead and say that $5 guy should drop out because where are you going? You've had months. But it is fascinating to watch elections in New Jersey now that the line is gone and everybody doesn't know what to do, maybe.
Yeah, I see it definitely out here in Hunterdon. It's like, why are you caring so much about, I see candidates kind of contorting themselves and doing things that I'm just like, it doesn't matter. You know, why aren't you trying to actually reach voters? Because that is, that's ultimately at the end of the day. And I even saw that with Mikey Sherrill, not so much the line and all of that. After the primaries, there was always this narrative created around her about how she can't win or she's running a bad campaign. And if you read Alex Ball's memorandum or battle plan, you know, Alex says we had to ignore it. That's it. And because we saw how we were connecting with actual voters, which is what I saw. I saw that. I'm like, she is talking to truckloads of people. Jack Ciattarelli is talking to the same, 50 people behind closed doors. He's not actually getting voter engagement. He is relying on incels and groypers, you know, who come out. That's true. Because they think it's funny to burn it all down. And he is going after the establishment. And I see that with a lot of the Democratic candidates out here. I'm like, you're speaking to the same 50 people.
Right. It's not going to get you anywhere.
50 people, because you're hoping their influence will sometimes trickle down. And I'm like, but they're also talking to the same 50 people. So, you know, it's about literally going out to the community, but also being online, I think. So does Jay have a social media presence? Is he out there? Do you know?
He does. He has a TikTok and an Instagram. Jay for Jersey is what I think it is.
Okay, I'll have to follow him.
He does post fairly frequently. I think there's like a balance of like, how much time should I spend yapping to the internet and how much time should I spend like out in the streets? And definitely he's spending more time in the streets. But he is on TikTok. He does post. And he posts with a little righteous indignation, which I really enjoy because I'm mad and like I feel good when I know this sounds crazy, but I feel good when I'm voting for someone who's as mad as I am. Like it was one of the reasons I enjoyed voting for Mikey is I photographed her for 2 events that she did in Westfield and some other stuff. And so I got to see her a lot during election season. And same as you, she was talking to voters, and when voters would mention something that I was mad about and I would see her be like, I would be like, she gets it.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, her line about what keeps you up at night keeps me up at night. I thought that was brilliant. I didn't
yeah.
think it was a line either. I actually believe her.
Yeah.
But she said that after the election, and I kind of wanted to be like, girl, can you just get this? Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of staying up all night worrying.
It, I
But
think that
yeah,
she was wrongly painted often, and I think this applies to NJ12, NJ11, to everything. I think she was wrongly painted as very, very moderate, like boringly moderate. Even
hmm.
I did that in the very beginning. In the very beginning, I was like, oh, I need her not to be so chill.
Anodyne. Yeah.
Yeah, like I need give me something. And I think in the end she wasn't like that at all. And specifically in policy proposals, even when she was like, no, this energy stuff, we're emergent, like I'm putting a block on that on day one, and we're gonna freeze energy rates. And you know, do I know that she can 100% do all of that once she gets in? I don't know, but the fact that she wants it and is aiming for it means she's. Did you ever see the TikTok with the guy who's like, I want orange soda in the fucking public fountain?
No.
No? Okay. There's this TikTok, and it's this guy being like, what's wrong with being extreme? Like, we
Yeah.
don't, like, maybe we should ask for extreme things. And that's how we get, like, he was like, once upon a time, you guys thought that women voting was too extreme. And once upon a time, you thought kids not working in factories was too extreme. And slaves not being slaves was too extreme. And now look where we are. It's not because people thought they shouldn't even try. And like, so then he ends the TikTok by saying, I want orange soda coming out of public fountains. And maybe that's how we get healthcare. And I love that because I don't expect my candidates to 100% deliver on what they're saying. What it tells me is their goals, right? Your vision, your guts.
Right.
That's what.
And I totally agree. And you know who told Mikey she can't do that on day one were other Democrats, right? It it's the lack of imagination. And it's like, well, she can't do that. I'm like, who cares? Because
Who
Donald
cares?
Trump can't do a lot of things either. And yet he's just says these things, right? Like, I'm going to make groceries cheaper. I'm going to, whatever. The list is so long of things that he just says. And
Yeah.
it's like, just try, just
So
say
she
it.
said that, and now all the energy corporate people are like, oh, we want to talk. We want to talk. We're coming to the table early. So whether she's actually freezing it or the threat of freezing it got people to do what she wanted, I don't care. I don't care if she can't do it because look, ICE is not supposed to be able to ask me for my papers, and they're doing it. So like, let's
Exactly.
let's stop. Let's just
That's what's so frustrating about so many Democrats. Again, it's just lack of imagination, lack of trying. And to your point about wanting to elect somebody who's just as angry as you, I always say, I'm looking for thermometers, not thermostats. I want somebody who is reading the temperature of the room and matching the energy and not trying to cool the room down. I
yeah,
like this whole like, oh, we just have to take the temperature down. That actually leads to normalization and complicity. It is actually doing them the favor
yeah.
by taking our anger and trying to wrangle it and being like, no, 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 you have to be more civil. And it's like, no matter how nice I ask, ICE is still gonna kick me in the throat. So I
Period.
don't understand why. Yeah, so I am looking for thermometers, not thermostats. I want people who are matching my energy.
Yeah,
And I will say in Congressional District 7, we have one guy who is kind of there, but it's just a little off. And then the guy who actually is saying some stuff, his name is Michael Roth. He is so quiet and soft spoken.
yeah,
I'm like, where is it? I saw Sarah Suey yesterday and same thing. Like she's kind of saying it, but like, where's the fire? And
yeah.
they're presenting this thing where it's like, well, I need to act a certain way for the moderates to like me. And I'm like, there is no moderate. You're either for the fascist authoritarianism that's happening or you're not. So, and also they're going to paint us as crazy liberals.
No matter what.
No matter what.
You can be Mikey and still be called a socialist. So
right.
Who cares? Who cares? Like at this point, who cares? Like the way that to this minute, okay, Republicans love cutting red tape, right? They love it. They love cutting like fees and regulations. They're big fans. One of Zoran's biggest policy platforms was making life easier for small businesses in New York to open, stay open, whatever, by cutting all that like extra fees and junk fees and whatever. Meanwhile, when he does it, they're still calling him a socialist. It's their policy. Like so like the idea that we can contort ourselves into some box to be liked by moderates is foolish. I honestly, at this point, I think that when the average suburban mom is no longer a moderate, that ship has sailed. And I'm in a very suburban area, and none of these moms look like moderates to me anymore. They look pissed.
Yeah. What a great point. And speaking of conservative policies that Democrats have adopted, it's very states' rights these days.
It's very states' rights. I love it.
Right. It's like we should withhold our federal tax dollars. That's another thing Mikey said that people were like freaking out over. Like, you can't do that. How are you? What are the mechanisms for that? And she's like, I'll worry about that later.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I'm a smart lady. And also, it's just like getting people on her side, even after she's won an election. I'm like, she doesn't need to be doing all this, but here we go.
I actually think it's a great idea because it's a critique I have of Democrats in general. And she and Zoran and I don't know who else, but because they're the ones I pay the most attention to, seem to have taken note. But Obama, after he won, he didn't really I worked on that campaign from New Jersey. It was great. But after he won the first time, Obama for America really that operation wasn't giving as much, right? He made his official Instagram and it was very professional and he was an adult in the room. And that was great then. But that idea of not hanging on to your organization and not hanging on to that energy, I think makes it harder to get things done. And so I think social media, very important when you're running, but I think it's really important to keep it going when you're working, because then we can push for the things you're trying to get done. We can help. We are the people. And that is what gets in the way, right? Like if assembly people want to fight her on something, but we're all with her, it's going to help her get things done. And
absolutely. Yeah. And also right. So Mikey was elected in 2025. If she doesn't do shit in 2026, people aren't going to vote for the Democrats again this year because they're going to be like, well, why did we do all of that and nothing happened? And she recognized this and she even said out loud, Trump moved fast. Why can't I? And, Mikey Sherrill plans to move fast. That's what the headline was. And I'm like, exactly, because it's also about politics and it's about getting Democrats elected again and again. Yeah. And
I have a lot of issues with Ezra Klein these days, but
yeah, me too.
But something he has said that I think is right on, because generally we have the same ethos. He's just wrong about a lot of how to get there. But something he did say is how because we want to do things right, we do them slow. So Biden passed the Infrastructure Act, and truly Trump is taking credit for all of that because the parts that didn't get done are being painted as you wasted the money, right? Like Mayor Pete, who's not Mayor Pete anymore, Secretary Pete, was talking about the installation of electric car chargers, and Republicans have painted it as you wasted all this money because you only installed 5 chargers. But the money wasn't spent. It's still sitting there, but they're painting it as, well, we gave you this many billions of dollars and you only installed 5 chargers. But if you listen to him, it's that was a pilot and now they're intended to spend the rest of the money, But that like slow, like let's test things and make sure they're right and then implement them makes people feel like you passed legislation that did not change their lives at all in any way. You did not make anything better for anyone. And even when it's not true, it sure feels that way if it takes years to implement. And so the one thing I will agree with Ezra on is cutting the red tape and like just doing it. You're excited about something, you funded it, do it right away. Get it done. And
communicate.
Yes.
Tell people like this whole thing too, where Biden gives all of this money to red states for their infrastructure projects, and then they take credit for it themselves, right?
Oh.
So they're the ones with the big check to their districts.
Yep.
He doesn't say anything about it. And then you have other places like in Texas, where they were given monies to help with their infrastructure for flooding, and 9 little girls died at camp because
it was Biden money.
Yeah. They gave it to the sheriff's office and there's no accountability. Those people should be in jail.
Yeah, agreed.
And again, Democrats are like, well, no, we can't do that. And it's just like, well, no wonder people don't trust us, because even when we do deliver for their districts, it's not like Republicans turn around and they're like, look at all this Biden money we got. Hey, maybe Democrats aren't so bad at all.
I think when he won, even Jasmine Crockett said like, oh, the candidate in 2028 needs to be like a boring white guy. Every day that goes by, every single day that goes by, Michelle, I am more positive that will not work. That it needs to be someone bold with big ideas and a big voice and who is not selling calm. Because nobody now wants calm. I used to want calm, right? I think when the first Trump administration happened, I used to say, I just want to go back to my real life. I want to live my life. I want to wake up every morning and not have bad news. I think that we've all been pushed so far. I want to wake up every morning and have actual good news. I don't want it to just be calm. I don't want to ignore people's issues. I don't think I'm alone. I don't think people just want it to be less broken. I think people want fixes and like new ideas, new innovation, boldness. Like people are not looking to vote for the calmest voice in the room. It's one of the things Biden did, because Obama was like that. Even Bush was like that, where they were like, I'm the adult in the room, so I'm going to take the temperature down. Similar to what you said, that's not what you're looking for. I don't think the people at large are looking for that either.
Well, because we see what Trump has been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time by destroying things. And I understand that building things is much harder, right? Like you build a Lego set over weeks, you can destroy it in seconds, Yes. So I get that. And at the same time, why not? Like, I was taught at Greenpeace where I worked in San Francisco, and it was always, let's work backward from yes. Don't start with, can we do this? And no, we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
How do we make it work? How do we get there? And again, goes back to lack of imagination and this like capitulation towards a group that will never like you, never vote for you, never appreciate you, won't take your money even when you give it to them, won't, it is so fractured that at this point it's like, just do what you want to do. And eventually, people will, it's this constant like, we can't do that, we can't do that, we can't do that, to the point where you're not doing anything. Then you're not doing anything. And what good does that serve anybody? And I am excited to see what Mikey is going to do. I would like her to be bold. She's already shown that. And I honestly do buy into the whole like Navy veteran thing, where she doesn't really seem scared.
No, I don't think she's scared. I think she's holding in a, I dare you. I don't want to see her, but I really think she's holding in a come.
Yeah.
I dare you. do think it'll be, people were really hard on her that she wouldn't address the Immigrant Trust Act. Um, being pragmatic, I knew exactly why she wasn't doing it. And I think it was a wise decision because I know where she stands. I don't need her to say it to know where she stands. Like, this is something about Kamala and Israel Palestine that people got really like, she's not saying exactly what I want her to say. The thing is, she said a lot over 20 years, and it was very clear how she felt. And she still acted like a politician because they're not saints and they're not saviors. They're just politicians. But I think I knew why she wasn't saying anything. And now that that legislation has quickly passed right before she's getting into office, I do worry that, they're going to ramp up operations in New Jersey. They have already have been. Like this week, you can see more. There was a raid in Princeton today. There was a raid at Rockaway Mall. There's a lot more ice here suddenly. And so I think she's going to have that challenge ahead of her while she's trying to get things done. There's going to be this that's being inflicted upon us. And so she's going to have to deal with that too. And that's, I think, going to be rough for all of us.
Well, again, like, it's like I always say, you never know how people are going to act in a crisis until the crisis hits. But she has proven that, this is supposed to be sort of her thing. So we'll see. And she has also proven to me that she is a little bit more willing than to just like, no, I have to be moderate and middle of the road. I haven't actually heard her be a moderate or middle of the road. She's not a socialist. That's she said.
Yeah.
But I also am not. Like I said, I'm a Liz Warren Democrat and Democratic Socialist, and my views are like maybe one hair apart. But
I'm probably lean a little more Democratic Socialist, but I don't want the title because I don't want to share anything with Bernie. Anyway. Sorry.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I like Ana Lilia Mejia from District 12.
Her.
Yeah, because she has reconciled with the racism part of this country. She has to. And so does AOC. And so women, so people of color do not get to hide behind this whole like existential, it's all economic anxiety. And that's why they vote that way. It's like, Bernie, they're racist and they're doing racist shit every day. And they're now pointing guns at anybody, even if they're white.
He complimented Trump's immigration stuff during this, not recently, but during this year, during this last 365 days, Bernie had positive things to say about immigration. And I think that it's just because he's from a state where everybody looks like him. And so he doesn't have to deal with the consequences the way the rest of us do. But it's not something I often get asked why I don't fuck with Bernie. And it is very confusing for people who haven't lived my life, I guess, to understand, because I love AOC. I love Anna. I love them. But if you look at Bernie's people that he has grown, okay, and you look at the people of color, that's one group. And then there's John Fetterman. And then there's Tulsi Gabbard. And then there's Graham Plattner. And there's a theme. I don't like the theme. And that theme is a big confirmation of exactly what I think of people who dismiss racism outright and say it's just, there's that video of Bernie saying, this one town, 90% voted for Trump. I don't believe 90% of people there are racist. Well, first of all, maybe they are. Think of where they live. They maybe have never met a person of color. And so, the stories people tell them about how we're ruining New York and how we're ruining California, maybe they believe that. And I'm not saying that they couldn't be changed, or I don't know. To them, it's like being racist is not nearly as bad as being called racist.
Yeah.
And I'm just not on board with that. And so that man and I, we are not friends.
Well, I always say when people ask me why don't you support Bernie Sanders, and I say because Black people don't fuck with him.
Period.
And if Black people don't fuck with you, I will not vote for
Then
you.
I will not vote for you.
That period.
Yeah.
So you need to have the support of the Black community. Black people are diverse. I get that, and are not a monolith. But if you have
Consensus matters, though. Yeah.
yeah, if you have one or two, like you have Killer Mike, and that's
Doesn't
it, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
And then my second thing is, do you see women as people? And so
I think that is the example I give most often is when Bernie was asked, would you consider a Black woman as your vice president if you win the primary? He laughed. He laughed and he dismissed it. And it was really, really rude. And the way he handled it was unnecessary, because if you had asked, if I was a white man and you asked me that question, I feel like the answer would be really easy. I will, of course, consider a Black woman, because I know there are so many qualified Black women, and maybe who I will end up will not be a Black woman, because there also has to be a chemistry, you know, like I understand that's a PR answer, but it's also a real one. You need to get along with your VP in a like kind of magical way where you're in sync. And so maybe, you know, my vice president is going to be another white guy, but like, you know, I'm going to definitely consider Black women. I'm going to consider all women who are qualified, and we're going to have those conversations. And then I'm going to go with whoever is the best fit for this ticket. Exactly. Is that so hard?
No. I just consider, you just say yes. You don't have to actual, like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's Bernie anyway.
It's a theme. If it was a one-off, that would be one thing. It is a theme. It is a recurring theme. And I don't care how many people show me one picture of Bernie in the crowd behind the Reverend King. That's not enough. That is, I mean, those are the people who always want to talk about how when stuff is performative, that was a performance. And when it comes to action, I'm not seeing it. I am seeing repeated inaction, repeated dismissal. No, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so bananas. But yeah, they're the same people who say they don't see color. So
yes.
Yeah. I don't see color. What do you mean consider a Black woman? I don't see color. I mean, if she's Black, white, you know, when the orange people or purple people come out.
Oh, purple dots. I don't care.
I don't, you know, if she's purple, white, Black, yellow, or purple, I'm like, purple people don't exist. So
thanks a lot.
And again, it's like, you know who does see color? Everyone else then. So
racist. Love to see color. Like, yeah, it's just, and for congressional candidates also, that is really like, it's important to me that they are not dismissive of, do we all have economic anxieties? Yeah. I shared with someone how much we spent on healthcare last year. I'm happy to give you that number. It's going to give you a heart attack.
Your family?
Family of 4. Want to give it a guess?
No, I could not possibly.
It was $24,000 for our insurance premiums. So $2,000 a month just for our premiums. And then out of pocket, we paid an additional almost $40,000 because they don't cover any mental health services. And we go to therapy in this family. And one of my children has a need to go more frequently to update their medication. And I'm not going to not do that. So we pay out of pocket. Our max out of pocket is $19,000, and we hit the max this year because we had an injury here, a hospital stay there, and we hit the max because my insurance declined to pay for my kids' vaccines. And when I would get on the phone with them to be like, you have to pay for his vaccines, they would say, oh, we covered it. We paid it. We paid it at $0. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
Wow.
And it was, so like, we all have economic anxiety. I do pretty well for myself, and I have economic anxiety, but I also am scared to send my 16-year-old out by himself now.
Yeah.
And I always was going to be scared to some degree. I was 8 years old the first time somebody rolled their window down as if they needed directions. And my mom rolled the window down for like where I was sitting because I was in the passenger seat. And they screamed, "Go back to your country." 8. Okay. Like that's not new to me in this country. A lot of this is not new to me. But the extreme that we're experiencing, to see people continue to dismiss that is so enraging to me that I can't only prioritize economics for everybody. I can't prioritize, well, why don't we do what we all have in common first? We can multitask. Why can't we multitask? What is this? This idea that like we have to do what everybody has in common first. Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, I do think that it really does come from trying to comfort white people through change and trying to give them a soft place to land when Democrats actually win. It's an apologist sort of approach. It's like, so sorry we're in charge now, but don't worry, we're going to give your districts tons of money and we're going to take care of you and take care of you. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to actually tear down democracy the next time we're in power and just arbitrarily start jailing people. So, you know, I hope all of this is a wake-up call to other Democrats because, and I will say this, it's not just leadership. When I go to these forums, every question is like, how are you going to appeal to moderates? How are you going to help get Republicans on your side? How are you going to work in a bipartisan manner? I'm like, they're Nazis. I don't,
I don't want you to work with them. I stand by what I said before. I think that when people have been involved too long or in politics too long, and you know, you could probably say that about me. I started when I was 16 and now I'm 44. Like I've been at it for a bit. I'm just not jaded yet. I have a, you know, mild takes Amanda. She keeps me,
I love her.
She keeps me calm, you know, but I just don't have that same sense of like giving in. But I think most people who have been there too long, they've given in to, well, I've been here for 40 years and nothing's gotten done. And I'm like, maybe you're part of the problem then.
Cardi B.
100% Cardi.
All right, that was some of the best parts of last year, I have to say, when all of those memes
oh my God.
dropped.
She's like, I think she was making us memes on purpose. She was like, if I have to be here, let me be here. Yes, but that is the meme where you're like, yeah, you've been here 30 years. You gave up. I just feel like if you give up, it's time to move on. Go do something else.
Sure.
If you can't aspire anymore, let someone else aspire, because the idea that we should just have a constant status quo when we know things can be better is crazy.
Yeah, it's aspire and inspire. Like it's you yourself have to aspire for more and inspire us all that things are possible. I mean, that is just the theme of this conversation is like, who is out here advocating for what's possible? And, you know, you have a very crowded race in District 12. I have a very crowded race in District 7. And it's time to get serious. You know, we have 4.5 months left to this primary.
Yeah.
It's going to be about who is inspiring voters. They're all just still hedging and acting like the line still exists and kowtowing to, you know, Democratic chairs throughout our county. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
You're not inspiring voters right now.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be really fascinating to watch this first real primary and first real election post the line for a congressional seat. You know, we had Mikey, but like these three races, 11, 7, and 12 are some big, it's big changes. No, they haven't had to operate the way they're having to operate now. They haven't had to compete the way they're having to compete now. And so I think, and I hope, so our convention is mid to end of February. I'm hoping that a lot of these candidates will have formed more policy by then, because I'll tell you this about Mercer. the committee members in Mercer cannot be told what to do by anybody. It's one of the reasons I have always loved conventions here is it doesn't really matter who, the establishment wants. People in Mercer are like, I do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. And
Exactly.
I love that about us. But that also means that candidates are going to have to come to Mercer committee convention with a platform and with a pitch, because they're not going to get votes if they can't really reach us. And I know I am the first to say that conventions aren't as important as they used to be, but it's still a place that people will come to gather support. We are the grassroots of the party. Often I am a person who knocks on doors. I'm a person who makes calls. I'm a person who gets other people to do it. That's part of your job as a committee person. It's not just to put your finger on the scale, but also to organize and make things happen. And so I think in that way, it does still behoove people to gain our support, because we will then actively knock doors and do stuff for them. So I think hopefully by February, we have a lot more sense of where people stand policy wise and how aspirational and inspirational they can be. So Perfect. I might have a lot more to say in March.
Let's reconvene then. Well, I just, want to say thank you again for taking this call. It was a fun yap.
Yeah, thanks for having me and letting me go on my tangents.
Just wait till you edit. Well, wait till I edit this video. You're gonna be like, did I say that? No, just kidding.
It's okay. I just want to say, I do not speak for the campaign. I do not work for the campaign. He is a good friend of mine who I very, very much support. But I am not working in a volunteer nor paid position for that man. I have a lot of things to do. That's not one of them.
For which man?
Jay Vaingankar.
Just wanted you on the record for that.
Jay Vaingankar for NJ12. Jay
and plug your business here.
Oh, I'm a photographer. You can find me at Charmi Peña on pretty much all platforms. My website's Charmi Peña Photography, charmipeña.com. And I will photograph anything but newborns and porn. So